I do want to get to, though, Kyrie Irving, because, look, Coach, you coached him in his rookie year here, and he had a spectacular season that year. You've watched him, Dave, go become an all-star starter, hit, I don't know, guys, the game-winning shot in Game 7, something like that. But he is a weirdly divisive player when people talk about him outside of Cleveland. How high is his ceiling? Where are you on where Kyrie is?
I don't know if he has a ceiling.
Really?
Kyrie could be the best point guard in this league. Offensively, he has no weaknesses whatsoever. And he showed me that when he was 20 years old.
Really?
So I know this guy.
Did you know when he walked in the gym the first time?
First time we had him, I said, this guy is special.
Wow.
Now, offensively, we knew he had no weaknesses, but on the defensive end, we knew he was going to have to get better, and we knew that would come in time. But I think his game has just gotten to a different level each and every year. It even shows even more so last year when you talk about him hitting the game-winning shot. This year on Christmas, hitting the game-winning shot. LeBron has even kind of deferred to Kyrie in big moments like that because he has that trust in Kyrie, and obviously Kyrie has it in himself that he can carry the load when need be. So I think his ceiling is so high that I don't know if he can reach it.
LeBron actually wanted Kyrie to take that shot in Game 7 last year in the timeout. He said, give it to Kyrie. That tells all you need to know. And LeBron has said he thinks Kyrie can be an MVP in this league. So LeBron thinks his ceiling is that. What I would say is Kyrie's got to do it at both ends of the floor. You can't be an MVP in this league and be, frankly, a swinging gate defensively, which he is night in and night out in this league.
He's gotten better.
He's gotten better.
Thomas Kyrie.
If he's going to be a super elite player, if he's going to be the best point guard in the league, he's got to play more on the defensive end. And anybody who's played with him or coached against him knows that that's where he can be had, and that's what he's got to shore up.
Well, Dave, I'm not going to ask you to give an opinion on a guy you cover every day, but I do want to ask you this. LeBron James made a big point. We need a point guard, right? And it was a little bit of a shot at Griff after he pulled off this great Kyle Korver trade, and LeBron's next sentence out of his mouth is, give me more. Griff kind of took a little shot back at him, right? I mean, what's the situation there?
Yeah, well, here's the deal. I mean, LeBron, they just played the Warriors on Monday. We all saw the result of that, and he looks at what the Warriors have, 7 guys who can dribble, pass, and shoot. In his mind, that's a playmaker. And he looks at his roster, and he says, well, we have Kyrie, and we have myself, who consistently do that. But beyond that, who do we have? He just wants, I'm speaking in his voice, I just want to have a guy we can add to the mix who can relieve some of that pressure. And in the playoffs, we expect greatness out of these guys, and they can do it on a night-in, night-out basis because they have time to rest, they have time to prep defensively for these teams and offensively. But during the regular season, to go 41 more games without having another guy that I can say, when I go on the bench for 5 minutes, this guy can take over, and I'm not going to be worried about our lead, dwindling or, potentially disappearing. That's what he wants, and that's why they have an open roster spot. It will, but it most likely, considering their cap space and considering their assets that they have in their cupboard, it will be a buyout situation. So you look at a guy like a Jose Calderon from the Lakers, a veteran who knows how to play. Maybe perhaps Darren Williams, Dallas Mavericks. They're not going anywhere right now. He's a guy who can do those things, dribble, pass, shoot, and has some playoff experience.
Just say it, Dave. He's longing for Matthew Dellavedova.
We all miss Delly, don't we?
Who isn't longing for Matthew Dellavedova?
He misses it.
I mean, look, we've got so much coming up with this game. I think it's going to be fantastic. We are going to be missing a player, though. Pau Gasol, not going to be with us after breaking his finger during warm-ups last night. So clearly players just shouldn't warm up, right? I mean, that's...
kind of watch where they're going. He ran into a teammate.
I know, it's not good. But look, I mean, when we see what the Spurs have to offer, they are the number 2 team in the West right now. These matchups, this game against the Cavs, there's a reason ABC is opening its schedule with this game when you look at how they might match up against the Warriors. Do you guys think the Spurs have enough?
Well, I'm super duper impressed with, again, here I'm talking about defense again. I've spent too much time
just on
around
this defensive kick today, huh?
The Spurs ranked number 3 in defense with LaMarcus Aldridge and Pau Gasol as their big men in an era where people are attacking bigs and stretching the floor. Greg Popovich replacing Tim Duncan with 2 guys who are not known as great big man defenders, getting this team in the top 3 in defense again. That's why their record is as good as it is. Also, they've been banged up all year. Tony Parker was out last night. They've had Danny Green in and out of the lineup. Now Pau is hurt, and here they are with a beautiful record and a great defensive standing. I'd like to just see them get to play the Warriors in the playoffs. We've been deprived of that the last couple of years.
You know what? I just love San Antonio and the way they go about their business every single night. And like you said, they can throw in these pieces to the puzzle, and they all seem to fit. Every single year, they seem to be that team that everybody kind of disregards, but they're always there at the end of the day. And if they are healthy, they're going to be a challenge to Golden State if they can get that opportunity to play them in the playoffs. And they got a new star in Kawhi Leonard. And this guy is a star. I mean, he is a two-way player, as you've been talking about since we such a defensive kick right now. That man plays defense.
He does.
And he guards multiple guys. He can guard the 1, 2, 3, and possible some forwards in some of these other teams that they'll be playing. So I look at this team as a big-time threat in the Western Conference, and the number one reason is because of Greg Popovich.
And we do that Kawhi-LeBron matchup, right?
Absolutely, and the reason why Kawhi Leonard is a former Finals MVP is because of the performance he put on against LeBron James. His hands are the size of briefcases. I mean, the guy can cover so much ground when he's out there, but does he have the offensive game consistently to carry them on nights when Powell's out or Manu or Tony start to grind down? Can he be that guy?
Right. Well, it's going to be interesting. We started the show talking about All-Star voting. LeBron James, as everyone sitting up here knows, does not forget that Kawhi Leonard finished above him in MVP voting last year. So that is going to come out tomorrow night as well. It's going to be such a good game. I can't wait for it tomorrow night. Tomorrow, ABC is going to kick off its Saturday night schedule right here as LeBron James' nemesis, Greg Popovich, brings the Spurs to town. It's going to be a great game. We're going to be talking about it throughout the show. And hey, now we know 3 of the 10 All-Star game starters are going to be playing in that game. Yep, that's right. The league announced the All-Star starters last night. You can see them right here. And of course, you guys know what jumped out to everyone right away, right? Russell Westbrook, one of the lead candidates to win MVP this year, not on this list. Now, when the NBA released the voting breakdown, we found out why. It seems that when the fan votes, the player votes, the media votes were all tallied up, Steph Curry, James Harden, and Westbrook were actually all tied. But the tiebreaker is the fan vote, and Harden and Curry won that, so Russ became the odd man out. Now, we haven't heard from Russ on this yet, but his teammates, they have chimed in, and they are angry. You can see here Enes Kanter noting that the 10 All-Star starters altogether have 19 triple-doubles combined this season. Russ by himself, 21. And Cameron Payne tweets, why not Russ? Now look, I was one of the media who got a vote here. I voted for Russ to start. I completely agree with the Thunder players. But the whole reason we have this system is because last year, fan voting got so out of hand, Zaza Pachulia came extremely close to being voted an All-Star starter. And he actually would have been voted a starter this year under the old system. So to the NBA, this is a success. As insane as it seems that Russ isn't going to start, he's not starting because Steph Curry, the reigning unanimous MVP, got his spot. That's a lot less egregious to the league office than Zaza getting picked over Kawhi or Kevin Durant. Of course, that doesn't mean what we have is perfect yet. Far from it. Frankly, I understand when the fans don't vote the most qualified guy in. Hey, everyone has their favorites, and fans don't follow all of this as closely as those of us for whom it is literally our job. But the players, I gotta tell you, I'm confused about. Bryce Johnson is a rookie who has yet to play in a single NBA game, and yet two players, voted for him to start in the All-Star game. Mo Williams hasn't played a game all season. He announced his retirement at the beginning of the year. But someone voted for him to start in the All-Star game. Even a guy like CJ McCollum. Look, I love watching CJ play. If you watch this show, I talk him up all the time. But if you only get to vote for 2 backcourt guys in the West, you cannot say CJ has had a better season than Russ or Harden. Even CJ wouldn't say that, and yet 23 players said he did. Last month, the guy who plays right next door here, Kyrie Irving, he said he didn't think media should get a say in any of this. I gotta tell you, looking at these results, I'm not sure the players have demonstrated that they should either. Guys, I mean, is this still a broken system? What do you think?
You know what? I think you should go back to coaches and general managers, and you might.
Says the former coach.
Yeah,
well, of course. We know players better than anybody, so we should get a vote. But you know what? I think when you really look at this, it's no doubt in my mind that Russ deserves to be an All-Star. I mean, there's one guy in the history of this league that's averaged a triple-double for a season, and he's on pace to do that. So to ignore that as fans, that this man has done so much work on the basketball floor and their team is winning, it's crazy. And I love Steph. Steph Curry is one of the best players in this league, there's no doubt about that. it's a popularity contest. It always has been ever since they put this into the fans' hands.
Well, look, we have 3 people for 2 spots. So if Russell Westbrook had gotten voted in, we'd be sitting here today saying, how did the 2-time MVP Steph Curry not get voted in?
No, he wouldn't.
He was. But I tell you what, I feel good in the media about having Russ number 1. You voted for him.
I did.
I voted for him. Maybe the media should just take over this and take over. And by the way,
sound like a true media guy.
The coaches do get to vote. They vote the reserves.
The rest of the
Keep
rosters.
your vote. Let us take it over. We'll take care of it, everybody.
You said the magic word. We vote for reserves.
Which takes a special talent. Let us take advantage.
But the player vote is the issue here for me. Because, look, I get it. When the players say, we know each other best, we're the guys out on the court, you guys in the media, a lot of you never played, therefore you can't really judge. That makes sense when they say it. But if they're not going to take this seriously, or they are going to just vote for their friends, I don't know how we can take that seriously and include this in what's supposed to feel at least a little bit important.
I will say this, also 324 players voted. There's about 440 in the league. So not even 75% is pretty good, I guess, but not even everybody took advantage of it. So
well, we were talking about this last night when the voting came out. There's an element of this that's a popularity contest for the fans, right? We always talk about that. There's an element that's a popularity contest for the players, too, right? I mentioned C.J. McCollum, who, again, I think is a fantastic player. He's going to continue to improve. I'm not sure 23 guys genuinely believe he's having a better season than Russ or Harden, but they might like him more.
It taught me. The Warriors guys all rated way lower in the players' vote than they did in the media vote or the fan vote. Draymond Green was down, Klay Thompson down, Andre Iguodala down.
I don't think these fans here mind if
well, I don't think any of these fans voted for any Warriors, but I'll tell you what, the Warriors players are not popular amongst their peers. That I can tell you from this.
There's a lot of hating going on out there.
Yeah.
A lot of hating going on.
Well, Russ, we'll have to find out if he's going to be motivated by not getting the starting spot. I have a feeling he might go out and try to win MVP just because, that's what Russ does. Isaiah Thomas, though, came out this morning and said he is going to be motivated because, guys, he was in a similar situation. There was a tiebreaker among the final guard spot in the East. It wasn't a 3-way tie the way it was in the West, but there was a tie between him and DeMar DeRozan. The fan vote favored DeRozan, so Isaiah lost out of that spot. And I don't know. I mean, he said he expected to get that spot. Now he's pretty motivated to prove people wrong.
And Rachel, who did you vote for in that spot?
I voted for Isaiah Thomas.
Well, I have a bone to pick with you. Because Isaiah Thomas, obviously fantastic players having a great season. 438. 438. That's where he ranks on defense in the NBA. You know how many players are qualified? 438. Dead last in defense in the NBA. You can't be dead last to be a starter.
Have you stood with Isaiah Thomas? Because he's short. I don't want to pull. I don't want to.
I would be fantastic.
Right? You can post him up.
I couldn't run down and catch him when he ran down the other
That's
side.
True.
But I mean, you can't be dead last in defense in the league. And I understand he's got some challenges. I'm not asking him to be fifth. But you can't be dead last in defense and me voting.
If you look at what he has done in the fourth quarters and overtimes of games, it is a 20-year type of accomplishment that we are talking about.
And he should be an all-star and he will.
The bottom line is, can you help your team win when it counts? That's all we want players to do, right? That's why Kyrie Irving is very popular in this city.
He will be an all-star, but I just couldn't vote him as a starter.
No, he is an all-star. There's no doubt about it. He's an all-star. But he does more for that team than DeMar does for his team. DeMar has another guy in the backcourt with him that's just as good, okay? Isaiah doesn't. Little Mighty Mike, that's his name. Mighty Mike gets the job done when the game is on the line, especially in the fourth quarter for that team. And that's why they are where they are at this particular point in the season.
He's got to score, Coach, because he's getting scored on the other end.
He can't do both.
Wow.
Okay, all right. Now I'm really going new school because I got to go back to my old school. You're right as far as you got to play some defense.
Well, it's funny. I go back and forth between thinking of you as a former player and a former coach. You just went straight into former player mode right there. Boom.
I brought myself back though.
Well, Lakers Showtime voice came out of
Isaiah's
you
playing
right
great. I'm not saying he shouldn't. He should be an all-star, but not as a starter.
Brian Windhorst trash talks Isaiah Thomas home at 11. All right.